everyone. Welcome to Off the Charts, episode 178. Before we start off, if you like this type of content, please like and subscribe, tell your friends, and hit that little bell to be notified when I have new content online, which is usually twice a week. So today is going to be a rant episode to a point, not towards my audience in this channel, but hopefully somebody, not that I don't want to use the word targeting, but they see this type of episode and they realize, there's ways to find out about these bands. So my last episode was about, I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos and I've been watching them a lot, and some of these videos, I've been talking to people, and it's like, these people do not know that these videos exist. And my friend Pascal sends me a text that goes, "Oh, thank you for giving some love to Deep Purple." And then that little conversation started there needs to be some love regarding some classic bands that still are releasing to a point music these days, or close enough. So I was like, so why is there seems to be like this unwritten rule where you got your classic bands, and this episode is going to be concentrated on bands that started in the 70s, okay, and are still making music to this day, or are still active to a point. Yeah. So there's like an unwritten rule, or it's like, oh, I only like their old stuff. How many times have we all heard that? I only like their old stuff. Now, why? Like, I understand that the typical music listener is a radio listener and not a music buyer like us. Mostly the people who comment. And like I said, I want you guys to comment on this one here. It's not, I think what I'm trying to target is your radio listener, who are mostly about trends, I guess is the word to use for that. So they'll listen to whatever's trendy, and you're telling that trendy person, "Oh, who are you listening to?" "Oh, I'm listening to so and so," and they're like, "Oh my God, that's so old." Like, how many times have we all had that conversation? So, or you're talking to that so and so person, it's like, really, I didn't know they were still around, or I didn't know I used to love them back in the day, or anyway, there'll be a little bit of examples for each band that I have here. Like I said, the criteria is that these bands have started in the 70s and are still active today. Their latest release, some this year, some last year, some about a decade ago, but we'll get into that anyway. So before we start off, yapping up again there. Cheers to you all. I'm on vacation and I still haven't gotten my fucking mic fixed, or why can it get my voice and not get a fucking ting out there? Anyway, I guess that's my mood for a rant. I guess just rant it off. So yeah, it's like I've had this discussion with a few of my friends back then, and it's like, oh yeah, I only like their old stuff. And some of the newer stuff is completely ignored, whether they never gave it a chance, they don't know it exists, or they're just ignoring it out of spite. And this has actually had some conversations, not from people who are regular watchers of the channel, but we've all had this conversation with people. So I'm going to talk about a few bands here. I got 9 in total in alphabetical order, all started in the 70s and have released albums very recently. And we'll talk about this. So first one here, huge band in the 70s. These days they're still touring, they're still active, have not seen them live. So I'm going to go with Blue Oyster Cult. This is their latest release in 2020. So some people are like, oh yeah, Don't Fear the Reaper, that's all they know. They go see them live, that's all they care about is Don't Fear the Reaper. I've seen many YouTube episodes where it annoys the hosts, and it's mostly Pete Pardo from Sea of Tranquility, where he's like, I can't believe it. These people just sit down they don't like the deep cuts, or they don't know them. Then comes Don't Fear the Reaper, and then they cheer along, and then they leave. And it's like, just for the one song, like, so I guess these people, like some people who, like, I'm a completionist. If I like a band, I'm going to get everything they have. And that is what is costing me money here. So when I started getting into Blue Oyster Cult, which was only 2 years ago, and I friggin' fell in love with the band. And then I found this album here. I got this album and I was like, wow, like this is still fresh. This is great. Again, another one of these albums. Again, probably most of you have heard it, but this album is friggin' great. A great comeback. And there's even two before that, Heaven Forbid and The Curse of the Hidden Mirror, completely fell into oblivion. Like nobody knows. I mean, because of social media, this one's a little tad more popular, but Curse of the Hidden Mirror and Heaven Forbid were like, you talk to people who love Blue Oyster Cult, were like, I didn't know they were still around, or I didn't know they had a new album. Well, if you like somebody and you've got access to social media, like that's what I do. I follow them on Facebook or other social media things, and that's how I get my news. I follow everybody that I like, or read certain websites, what's coming next and all that. So anyway, first one up here is Blue Oyster Cult. I mean, on social media, it was well received with music critics, but do fans that like the band back in the 70s know this exists? Probably not. But anyway, I'm here to tell you this exists. So Blue Oyster Cult from 2020, The Symbol Remains. A good one here. Next up, again, this is alphabetical order. So this one's a little weird here. I can understand why some people don't know it exists. So this is actually a brand new album from 2 weeks ago, not even a week ago even. Alice Cooper, Road. So this guy is productive, man. He's releasing an album, like, he's 75 now? Releasing an album every 2 years almost. Cheers again. I remember having a conversation with somebody where I used to work in my teens. That's where I started liking Alice Cooper. And I like all of Alice Cooper. Some albums more than others. And there's one guy I worked with. He refused to buy anything from Alice Cooper after the breakup of the Alice Cooper group. So that's Muscle of Love and After. Nope, I don't want to hear it. I was like, why? Like, so again, he goes, I don't know, I just don't want to hear it. He only likes, or maybe he's heard a few songs here and there. But I was like, okay. But this guy has been releasing great material. Like, this is I think it's his 28th or 29th album. 29. And I mean, some I like better than others. Like, okay, I can understand not all of them are going to be good, but there's some of them that are easily in my top 10, if not top 5. Like The Eyes of Alice Cooper from 2004. That's easily in my top 5. I friggin' love that album. But nobody knows it exists. Maybe with social media, some people know that this one exists. My only beef is, and I talked to my friend Steph, who did the concert episode with me. He's like, Alice doesn't promote his newer albums. It takes him a tour or two, which I find odd. and this has been going on for 3 or 4 albums, where he's released a new album, but he doesn't sing or play live anything from the newer album. I mean, one song or two maybe tried out there, but I find it's an odd way to promote a newer album there. And this one actually is very good. I would say it's easily better than the last two. Detroit Stories and Paranormal were good. This one's a lot better. Yeah, I find it fresh, very, very, very good here. Couple filler songs there, but overall, I'm like, so yeah, Alice Cooper has a new album. Did anybody know about this? Why do people only like the Alice Cooper group? Some people like only the album Welcome to My Nightmare or the album Trash. I mean, the album Trash is what got me into liking or starting to buy Alice Cooper. That was my first concert ever. And then I went backwards and got everything else after that. And then have been buying everything, release date. Well, yeah, these days pre-ordered. You got to pre-order these. And another reason maybe some people don't know about this is these are no longer found in record stores, like new record stores. I mean, you'll have your Taylor Swifts, you'll have your Shania Twain. Well, even Shania Twain wasn't in the fucking store the other day when I went to buy the newer the new release of her Come On Over Diamond Edition. So I don't understand the music industry sometimes. It's like, but of course, all the Overkill remasters, nothing against Overkill. They were all at fucking Sunrise when those came out. I was like, okay, that's random. But this was not in the new release section here. So I don't understand. But yeah, Alice Cooper Road, the guy can still, at 75, can still write, sing. I mean, it is Alice Cooper's voice. We all know what it is, what to expect there. But yeah, he's been releasing albums safely every 2 years. And apparently he's still got another one. So let's see what happens in 2024 or 25, right? So Alice Cooper Road, that's came out 2023, a couple of weeks ago. Got 7 more to go here. This one here was what started this whole episode. So I'm going to go with Deep Purple, Whoosh. So that's the name of the album. Came out in 2020. They did another album after that, but it was a covers album. I'm just going to go with studio albums. This is, sure, it's not Smoke on the Water, but my favorite Deep Purple album is Perpendicular, which I talked about last episode, from 1996. Again, even in 96, I still remember the article in the magazine. Remember, everybody remember magazines back then? Or music magazines? The best album you will never hear. And it's like, once somebody is past their prime or they're no longer young, now just who cares? These guys still tour. They still promote their albums. To my knowledge, last time I saw them, I believe, was on the Now What tour, and they played Vincent Price, which I think is a fucking good song. Vincent Price is back again. That's a song. Video is great, and that song, I friggin' love the song. Again, I probably love it as much as I'm gonna go and say Knock It at Your Back Door or Perfect Strangers. Highway Stars got a little nice. I mean, we've all had time to, maybe that's another thing. People have had time to digest those old songs, and they remember them like they've had 40 years to know them. This is what, 2 years old. But anybody who should say, oh, Deep Purple's my favorite band, and I've heard this before. I freaking love Deep Purple. Oh, they have some new, they're still around? How could they be your favorite band if you don't know that there's new music? That's what sometimes irritates me. Like, don't say they are your favorite band. They at least say they were your favorite band or something. Like, they're still around. They're still making music. And this is actually, sure, it's old man music there, but it still friggin' rocks. Like it's don't expect anything fast like Highway Star, but there's some great stuff on this here. They're still making great music, if not some of their best still. But that again, that's just my opinion. But people at least should know that this exists. So Deep Purple Whoosh from 2020. Oh. Next up, I actually saw this tour live, which was actually a great concert. And they did promote the album. So I'm talking about Judas Priest, Firepower. This is from 2018. And I mean, on critically acclaimed, and I think it's actually easily their best one since it's easily better than Angel of Retribution and Redeemer of Souls. I didn't care for that one that much there. But yeah, Firepower was is a great, it's sounds great, fresh. It's cheesy fresh. There's, I mean, Lightning Strikes. I mean, talk about a subject that's been done to death in the hard rock or metal world there. But yeah, Judas Priest are still kicking around there, and they're sure it's what, two original members. Some people also are like, oh, I only like Priest with the original members. Fine, but it's like a good song or a good album is a good album. Doesn't matter who's on it. I only like Priest, or I only like so-and-so band with just the original members. It's kind of like, to me, is out of spite. Like, you don't even give these newer albums a chance. So Judas Priest 2018, I saw this with Saxon, was great show. Loved it. And this album here is actually kicks ass also. So one of their better ones easily. So love it. Sounds fresh with cheesy. Well, Judas Priest have never been very original with their Ram It Down is one of my favorites, but man, is it cheesy. So anyway, there you go. Judas Priest, Firepower from 2018. All right, this one here. It's a little older, but it's all right. Kiss, Monster from 2012. So we all know by now Kiss is and will be my favorite band forever. That's never going to change. Their last two albums, because of course it's Tommy Thayer and Eric Singer. Oh, I don't want to listen to it. It's a cover band now. But of course, people wanted a new album from the original lineup. And when Psycho Circus came out, they were like, well, this sucks. I mean, make up your mind. Like, be careful what you wish for. That's all I'm saying here. Sure, Psycho Circus isn't one of the better ones, but their last two albums are freaking good. It's Kiss just rocking from A to Z. I don't think there's any, I mean, there's maybe one or two fillers per album here, but out of 14 or 12 songs there, these albums are great. Sure, most people will realize it's just mostly Gene and Paul at this point here, but a good record's a good record. But I still remember, like, oh, I only like Kiss in the 70s, and then I only liked him when they had the makeup, but then The Elder came out, and then that was a total flop. But now people are starting to like it again. So maybe in 1981, 40 years, maybe this will get a little bit more respect. Not that I'm saying it's not getting respect. People who have heard this album say it's good. But it's easily forgotten. I find it's considered one of their, when there's a ranking, it's not considered one of their best, even far from it. And I'm like, okay, I just don't, I know I'm biased with Kiss, but this is like, I only like Kiss with the makeup on. And then the 80s came out, and then I'm like, there's still some good material with the Kiss non-makeup era. And then they got back to makeup, And then they're like, now I prefer the, just make up your fucking mind, guys. There. So yeah, Kiss Monster. This is their last album. They're still touring. I'm going to go see them again in November for the last time. Hopefully, I love them, but guys, enough's enough. Like it's time. It's really time to call it quits there, fuck. But yeah, just because these are not the original members doesn't mean it's not a good album. But again, it's like, oh, I didn't know this was out. Like they're touring. They're actually, when they're touring for an album, they actually promote a good 3 songs per album all the time. I've seen Sonic Boom and I've seen Monster tour. So they're playing songs off of these albums here. So there you go. Kiss Monster from 2012. Speaking of 2012, these two bands always seem to follow each other. I'm going to go with Rush. Unfortunately, this is their last album. I saw this tour. They promoted the crap out of it too. They played some songs, but Rush is a different monster though. This is, I only like Rush when they were progressive. And then the 80s came along and it's like so and so, like, you know, your Hold Your Fires and Power Windows era. You're like, it's too many synthesizers. Then they went back to rock, which with Presto, which is my favorite album. I'm not ashamed to say it. But it's still like, but now because they're no longer progressive but they said it, Rush. Rush, I've said it. We're tired. Like, we're older now. We can't and don't want to play these ridiculous 30-minute songs anymore. It's like, if you watch the documentary of Rush, Beyond the Lighted Stage, they'll tell you why they changed styles. But this album actually grew on me. Like, at first, when I first heard it, I was like, yeah, it's good there. I saw the tour, was good. But then, of course, New Me as a completist, I think is actually a very good swan song album. Same with Monster by Kiss. There seems to be the last one too. Fortunately, Neil Peart has passed away, which pisses me off because, well, I sort of started liking and buying their stuff. Neil Peart was still alive. But then when he passed away, I was like, man, it got it so difficult to buy their stuff. Their sales went up to the roof. So, but yeah, a great last album. This is from 2012 also. Yeah, it's, again, Rush, same path as Kiss, also in a way. It's like the 80s Rush, whoever liked them in the 70s don't like the 80s Rush. And even the bass player from Rage Against the Machine says so in the friggin' movie, in the documentary. So I'm like, oh, okay. But a band has a right to change, to, I don't know, like adapt, or they can't, it's okay for a band to change and not do the same type of music over and over. Whether the public wants it, that's up to them. But there's some great stuff also in the 80s and the 2000s and the 90s. Yeah, I even said the 90s for Rush there, but yeah. Yeah, I just, it just baffles me that not just Rush, but a lot of people is like, yeah, only the 70s stuff is good. When the 80s start, yeah, it sucks. I want nothing to do with it without even trying it out. Anyway, Rush, Clockwork Angels from 2012. This one here is, I got 3 more, guys. Stick with me. These guys are getting praise that they're better than ever. So I'm talking about Saxon. Now, these guys used to fill arenas back in the early 80s. It's their own fault that they fell off the face of the music world, I guess, or the music earth, I guess. But they're back stronger than ever. They're actually making some pretty damn good heavy music. Like the old stuff. But again, it's like Saxon. First of all, ask somebody from Canada. They don't even know that these guys are still exist or still around. They would know the name. Again, I can't speak for people who live in the UK. I know this is where they're from. But Saxon, let's say early 90s until late 80s until early 2000s, this was a dead band. They were ridiculed, and it was like not cool to listen to it. Now it's cool again to listen to Saxon. But for Canadian people out there, or even maybe US, you know what? The Saxon new wave of British heavy metal, you know, your Iron Maidens, your Tigers of Pantang, your, forget who else there, Saxon was there also. They're still around. They're still making great music, unlike some other bands from that era. I'm not going to name names there. But they're no longer, well, they never were a household name here in Canada, but they're still making strong albums right now. So yeah, Saxon from Carpe Diem from 2022. So that's last year. I like the one before that better. Now they're just releasing a bunch of covers albums, but the good news is they're actually recording a newer album. So there's going to be one in 2024. So yeah, Saxon is still around, guys. So check it out. So Saxon Carpe Diem 2022. Two more. Another 2022 album. Scorpions. Again, these guys were more popular in the 80s than the 70s, but they started in the 70s. They were huge here in Canada in the 80s, the 90s, and the 2000s, not so much. And then they came out with this here. The last couple of albums actually been pretty good, but this one, sure, it's not original, but it's great songs. It's Scorpions, like you should like it. Whoever likes Scorpions and in the 80s has no reason not to like this. It's basically the same band members, three of them anyway. It's hard to keep same band members in the same but anyway, yeah, they're still around. They're still making great music. They're still like kicking, like selling out arenas also. Do people who you're only know about Rock You Like a Hurricane, do you think that they know that this exists? Is this played on the radio? No. It's all these bands are forgotten, like these, but you know what? I'm gonna give them credit. All these bands there, like whether they're played on the radio or not, they're still out there making what they love, and they're actually making a very good product out of it too. So yeah, Scorpions, I did like this album a lot here. So I'm not sure if there's going to be another one. I haven't heard anything, but yeah, check it out. Rock Believer 2022. And last one, not as much hard rock here, but I'm putting them here. They're a 70s band. Their heyday was, a lot of people like the late 70s love these guys. 80s, not so much, but that's where I friggin' fell in love with them. So Styx, Crash of the Crown from 2021. Yeah, 2021. They're still around. They're still touring. They're still making great music. But yeah, remember, anybody who likes Styx a lot only likes from Crystal Ball all the way to Paradise Theater. And then, of course, I learned about Styx during Kilroy was here, and everybody friggin' hates that album, apparently. I don't know why, but I don't know. I have most of their albums, not all of them yet on vinyl there, but I'm just missing two, maybe. But yeah, they're still making good music. Okay, this one is good. I'm not going to say great, but there's some good stuff on it. I did prefer The Mission as opposed to this one here. The singer is Gowan now. Does anybody know that? Again, not talking to the audience. I know most people who are commenting or watching my channel are subscribed, have all the albums I have, or have all, or completists like I am. But your average fan, do you know that Lawrence Gowan, yeah, that Gowan from Canada is now the singer of Styx? Probably not. You know, the guy from the 70s is no longer singing. It's been almost 20 years now, I think. 15 for sure. So, yeah, these guys are still around. They're still making great music. Is this played on the radio? No. And this, out of all the bands that I've shown here, this is probably the one that would be the most radio friendly. And are there, again, no, they're playing hip hop on the radio, and that's why I don't listen to radio anymore. It's, oh, yeah. We have a radio station here, Shea 106, which is classic rock. And all they play is just 70s and 80s music. You'll be lucky to have the new Styx or the new Scorpion song. You'll probably have it for the first week and then it's forgotten. But it's all, and that's why I don't listen. Like, how many times am I going to have to hear Back in Black or Rock You Like a Hurricane or like, those are the songs they play. Crazy Train, Enter Sandman. Like, holy fuck, guys, there's more. That reminds me. So I went to see Metallica. Yeah, you know, I don't care for Metallica that much. They do put on a good show. But anyway, when they come here in Ottawa, I'll go. Anyway, I'm not the biggest Metallica fan. I'll admit that. But then I remember there was these fucking girls in front of me. And my brother-in-law was beside me. And these girls would only cheer and sing for songs off the Black Album. I was like, God, are you girls only here for that? They have other songs like besides that. And then I remember as an encore, they sang The Prince, which is a cover. Is it Budgie or Diamond Head? I forget. But anyway, I know the song because it was the B-side to One, the single. I had that at the time. And everybody in the arena didn't know what the fuck the song was, except this guy. And then I remember the review the morning after was, shame on you, Ottawa, for not knowing that The Prince was part of the set list. And I was like, wow. So there's your fans. Again, this to wrap this up, I'm going to use the analogy of the Black Album by Metallica. There's your Metallica fans that just like those first 4 albums, from Kill 'Em all the way to And Justice Passable. Then there's the Black Album, which Metallica fans mostly hate. But then you got your average radio listener and they play the crap. They still do. They play the crap out of the Black Album. And people go see Metallica, only know those fucking songs, but don't know the first 4 albums or the ones that came after. And of course, I'm not going to talk about the ones that came after. I don't really have an opinion on those because I never really heard them. But yeah, it was an eye-opener for me when those girls in front of me were just there to see or hear some, like even one, or what if there's a popular Seek and Destroy, like even I know those songs, or For Whom the Bell Tolls. These girls in front, but The Unforgiven, Nothing Else Matters, Enter Sandman, these girls went all fucking nuts when those songs were playing. I'm like, really? Is that the only album you have? You'd think that if you like an album or it's being overplayed that much, technically it should go and make you buy their back catalog or, you know, next catalog after that. So anyway, that's my little rant for today. I just don't understand why classic bands are just real. I know why, because they're old. That's basically it. Why there's just no interest. Is it just to sell an image or whatnot? But anyway, I don't understand. But anyway, feel free to comment. You guys like these albums that I just talked about now? I mean, I know there's some bands that I've omitted just it's because I don't own them or they're not in my collection there. But anyway, that's it. That's my rant. I'm speechless really for this there, but parts I get, parts I don't get. If you like music, if you like your bands back then, you should still like them now. If they were, If they are your favorite band, like you say they are, if they were, maybe I can get it. But don't say, oh yeah, they're my favorite band. Oh yeah, what do you think of your last album? What, they have a new album? Yeah. All right. Enough there. Have yourselves a great whatever, and we shall see you guys next episode. Comment away. Take care. Bye-bye.